Triumph Scrambler came on the market in 2006 and they sold more than 70,000 units. It was a great bike, but you can't stop the progress, even in the retro category. So that's why we have the new model, Triumph Street Scrambler. So let's find out whether it's better than the previous. The good thing is that I'm the proud owner of the previous Triumph Scrambler 2015, and I made something like 25,000 miles in all kind of terrains. I was basically twice in London and in Albania and Spain. I experienced a really hot weather in Bosnia, but also snow a couple of times, and I even did a small like fun enduro race on it. So I'm pretty much familiar with the bike, and so I can compare it with the new model. So first of all, like, we still see the same shape of the motorcycle. It's still the same all good Triumph Scrambler, but it's basically new in every inch. Let's start with dimensions. The bike is a little bit shorter, it's a little bit smaller, basically 3.5 centimeters smaller. The seat height, which I'm not very happy about. I'm, 193 centimeters, so this is not a good news for me. But it's also a slightly lighter. It's about 10%, almost like 5% lighter. From 216 kilos it gets to 206, which is great. But the biggest change, of course, is the engine. Now they are liquid cooled. This is 900cc parallel twin, so it gets some extra 35cc from the last version. But also there is a big difference in the power and torque. So this engine produces 4 horsepower less than the previous one, but it has 18 newton meters of torque, which means, like Triumph says, it produces 28% more torque and performance in the RPM you usually use, like in 90% of time, which is something like from 2,700 to 4,700. And this is a big true, actually. In these, if you look at the charts, you will see that this engine is way more powerful, 28%, than the previous generation. But I'm actually a little bit sad because we lost a peak of this engine, 5 horsepower in the peak, and it doesn't make sense to actually go more than 6,000 RPM. Even you feel strange when you go more than 5,200 RPM. This is really way more like a chopper than a sport machine. And I have to say, it's not bad or good, it's just a different, and I think it's targeted a little bit different customers. Let's look at the brakes, suspension, and wheels. The easiest part are the wheels. They are all the same like in the old good Triumph Scrambler. So 19-inch in the front and 17 in the back and in the rear. And we have the same set of tires. So like, there's not much to comment. They do just really good job. I like them. Let's talk about suspension. This is the same manufacturer like the previous, which is Kayaba, but they said they are improved and probably there are more quality parts. In terms of travel, we have 120 millimeters in front and the same in the back, which means something like 1.5 centimeters more on the back than the previous model, which gives you a little bit more terrain abilities, like off-road abilities, but at the same time, the motorcycle is lower, so it's going to be such a big difference. The exhaust is just amazing. I like it, and most of people I meet, they just find this model and this exhaust better and nicer than the previous one. It even has a better sound. Foot pegs are better prepared for the enduro riding. This is actually the foot peg from the Triumph 1200, which does a great job on it. And you don't need to invest some additional money to prepare this motorcycle to go off-road. So there is a radiator grille in the standard, which is great, and it's from steel, which is great. There is a skid plate, but it looks like metal, but it's plastic, and it probably covers the engine, but just once. So that one is not good. I would invest to the better, maybe from SV Motec or some other company, if you want to go off-road. Riding off-road these bikes is really amazing. I can't show you on this particular model how it is in off-road because Triumph, didn't allow me to take it even to like a dry off-road, which I'm not very happy about. But I have to tell you that on the previous one, I was it was such a, it was very, very funny. Like I really like the previous model on the terrain, and there are no signs that this one will be an exception, because it even has a like better components to going off-road, better food packs, a little bit more torquier engine to the terrain, and some other stuff which will help you in the terrain. So now it's a great thing because we have the all new Triumph Scrambler, Street Scrambler here, the new model, and here we have a classic 1LT T100. It's not actually the old Scrambler or new Scrambler, but it's great to see the differences. So first of all, the engine. This is a classic air-cooled A65. This has even a standard crankshaft, so the sound is it's very different than the new model. But as you can see, the suspension, there is a way better unit on the new Scrambler. There is a more chrome on this model. It's more, more from the steel and more heavy, something like 15 or 12 kilos more. Also, you can see that the brakes are actually the same on these both models, almost the same. How you can see the which are selling. I think that on the new model, this looks a little bit more, a little bit more better, more quality. This looks to me a little bit cheap, and I like more the new model. Also, this is very good detail. These are food packs, the same on the Triumph Scrambler. So as you can see, this is purely touring food packs. Rather than here, we have food packs from Triumph Tiger 1200 or 800. So that's way more better for off-road. I don't know. Like it's up to you in the end of the day which one you will take. But I'm really in love with these classic air-cooled engines, right? So now we are going to do a interesting test. Like I told you that, like the Scrambler is like a much more likely a cruiser, but I would like to find out whether it has some sport, mood in it or not, and whether it has any capabilities to go faster. So this is my friend Ruben on a Ducati Hypermotard 796. He is local here in Gran Canaria, and so he knows a lot these local turns, and I would like to try to race with him a little bit, not like a really serious race, but I'll try. So yeah, so it seems that of course I have a lack of power, that's for sure, a huge lack of power. But I also doesn't have such a I don't feel so confident in the turns, because just it's not my bike. It's my second day of the bike. It's just from the local dealer of Triumph, and I don't want to, of course, so I don't want to, crash the bike, and but also the limits of the bike are very low in the turns. To be honest, it's under the average. It's again another thing like on a cruiser. So now we are closer, and I'll try to hold. Yeah, so we have way more power and torque in a low range and mid range, but when you want to go faster, you anyway need to go like higher revs. So it's very nice that it has a low, more power in a lower and mid term, but when you want to go faster with your friends, you anyway need to use a higher RPMs, and so I just feel lack of power on this bike. and I have to say that Triumph Street Scrambler doesn't like it very much to go this fast. Although I would like to, it's not the best bike for sporty riding at all. And I have to say that the previous model was a little bit more capable, or at least the emotional, like from the emotional point of view, from the feelings, you feel a little bit more, you want to race or you want to go fast, and you feel a little bit more faster on the previous model. So yeah, so that's it basically. I have to say it's a proper cruiser from my point of view. Again, like, it can change when I have the bike, you know, like a month or two and ride like 5,000 kilometers. Maybe I would change my mind. Maybe you have a different personality. Maybe you know, it doesn't need to be the opinion for everyone. But from my point of view, this is more likely a cruiser than a sporty or dirt bike or anything like that, or cafe racer, because it just wants you to go slower and enjoy the high torque in a low RPM or mid RPM range. This is what it does great, with a nice sound behind you, which I really like. I would say, like, the sound behind you. This is not like on many motorcycles you just hear the sound under you from the engine, right? Or in front of you a little bit from the engine, but here, just from the start to for all the ride, you just hear the sound behind you because of the pipes, you know, parallel with the seat, and that's really nice feeling. And especially if you like the chopper style of, you know, sound, you will love this motorcycle. To choose between these two might be a difficult problem. When you are tall, like me, for example, 193 centimeters, or you want to go fast, you want to go wild, you want to enjoy, you know, the high RPM of the engine, you should definitely take the previous generation. But if you like this amazing design, you might be the fan of the, you know, electronic system like ABS, ASR, ride-by-wire. You just like this new characteristic of the engine, which goes in a low RPM and mid RPM. It provides a very interesting performance. You should take this one. What is more, you should buy you could buy this year, for this generation, you could buy loads and loads of accessories, like better suspension, better exhaust, loads of variation of the seat, and, you know, loads of, you know, backs. You can buy side backs, which is a big difference between the previous generation, where only option was to buy aftermarket, you know, almost only option was to buy aftermarket products. Now, I'm very happy that Triumph creates such amazing motorcycles, and I hope we will see more of these on the streets. Thanks. That's right, the feelings.
Triumph. That's British. I'm just talking about it. That's British.
That's right, from Hinckley.
He knows that,
yes.
because I've just told him. Oh, I see. What made you buy Triumph?
Yeah, I mean, I just like the feeling, you know.
Yes.
It's not about to go
Nice
200,
thing.
you know, or just like crazy.
Yeah.
It's about enjoying the moment and
Yes.
the nature and the nice bike, right?
They're both scramblers, and yet they're very different,
There's
aren't
another
they?
one there, I didn't notice.
Yes, that's the Arrow.
Yes.
Yeah, that's our.
Street
That's
Scrambler. And that's a Scrambler.
It's
That's a lighter model, though, isn't it?
Oh, what?
It's a lighter model.
This is older. It's an older generation.
Yes, but it's a lighter type.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well,
Very good.
What's the power of them?
It's about this one is about 60 horsepower and this one is 55.
Oh right.
But
yes.
this one is a little bit stronger. You know, when you go like calm,
Yeah.
give you like a diesel. You know.
My car's petrol.
Okay.
Very powerful.
To go into the...
Thank you very much for talking to you.
2.4 cc.
Okay. Enjoy the trip. Enjoy the Canary Islands.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy
talking to you.
them very much.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Tack för det.